All right, Saagar, what's on your radar?
Well, something that comes with being in the public eye is criticism. It's annoying. People lie and they say mean stuff about you, which is insanely disconnected from reality. There is a part of you which wants to respond, but experience tells you it's better to just keep being yourself. Don't feed the trolls. It's the oldest meme on the internet. Now, I've made peace with that, given that it's still my privilege to be able to join you all here every day, create a community of people who want to experience the news in a non-toxic way. But what will always outrage and enrage me is when the professional smear artists in the media and the psychopaths turn themselves on those who are both completely innocent and defenseless against their machine. Their lives ruined in the process. This is exactly what played out over the weekend in one of the most disgusting smear campaigns I've ever seen. And the anatomy of that smear campaign, it tells us everything we need to know about the way our corrupt media works today. It starts with an innocent contestant on Jeopardy, where contestant Kelly Donahue, in a triumphal moment, he held up 3 fingers to celebrate winning 3 games in a row. Nothing wrong with it, just a dude psyched that he won 3 games. But the culture warrior activists could not let it stand. And so, some random dude on Twitter decided to loop it into Tim Scott's response to Biden on Wednesday, saying, quote, "Tim Scott says America isn't a racist country, while this guy flashes the white power symbol on Jeopardy." White power? What? Every normal person in America wonders. Here's what they say, that hand gesture is also used by a group known as the 3%ers, which is a white identitarian militia. And because they happen to use it, Mr. Donahue, who apparently never even heard of it, is himself a racist. That tweet alone was enough to prompt a, quote, open letter from former Jeopardy contestants who denounced Kelly Donahue for using that symbol. They even write in the open letter, quote, "No reasonable person would have interpreted those gestures differently. However, this gesture was not a clear-cut symbol for the number 3. He held his thumb and forefinger together with his other 3 fingers extended and palm facing inward, and he tapped his chest. This, whether intentional or not, resembled very closely a gesture that has been co-opted by white power groups, alt-right groups. Whether intentional or not. Well, I think intention matters. How about you?" They even acknowledged Kelly Donahue was horrified by all of this. He addressed it on his Facebook page, saying all he wanted to do was indicate how excited he was to win 3 games. But that wasn't enough. His intention didn't matter. They cite also as problematic the fact that Mr. Donahue had a picture as his Facebook cover photo of Frank Sinatra doing the same thing. All of this is couched in a bizarro world where innocent people who do things innocently bear the sins of horrible people for repeating their so-called symbols, whether intentional or not. Now, maybe all of this insanity could have been fine until the media got their hands on it, with The Hollywood Reporter not only reporting the letter, they produced an entire video that went viral about it. Let's take a listen.
Jeopardy is being slammed after a winner allegedly flashed a white power hand gesture. On Tuesday, when winner Kelly Donahue was introduced as having won 3 games, he held up 3 fingers, making a gesture that appeared similar to the OK symbol made by a right-wing militia group called the 3%ers, that has also been co-opted by white power groups. Donahue wrote on Facebook, "I'm truly horrified with what has been posted about me on social media. I absolutely unequivocally condemn white supremacy and racism of any kind." He continued, "During the taping of my 4th episode, I was simply raising 3 fingers to mark my 3rd win. There was nothing more I was trying to indicate." Donahue also noted he had previously flashed 1 finger and then 2 during his introductions for his earlier games.
That was the gasoline on the fire. Donahue panicked. As they said, he had to do another Facebook post akin to a struggle session from the Cultural Revolution, pleading, "I'm truly horrified what has been posted about me on social media. I absolutely, unequivocally condemn white supremacy and racism of any kind. People who know me personally know that I'm not a racist. But for the public at large, it bears repeating. I am not a racist, and I reject and condemn white supremacy and all forms of bigotry for the evil they are." And you know what the headline was after he did that? Not Jeopardy contestant explains away ridiculous controversy, not unhinged people online and activists falsely accuse man of being a racist. It was this: Jeopardy contestant denies white supremacist ties, or Jeopardy player demands apology over alleged white power symbol. As Noam Chomsky has explained, the mere act of calling someone a racist and having them deny it is weaponized empathy. Once you're denying it, you've already lost the public battle. That is the danger that these quote-unquote activists have, and we have to do everything in our power to defeat them. Perhaps they're well-intentioned. In my opinion, most of them are psychopathic losers. But I will grant them some benefit of the doubt, or at least some people who listen to them, and assume that they're acting, or at least somewhat in good faith. Here is my message to you. By practicing this behavior, you are letting these people win. You are giving these idiots more power than they deserve. Who the hell are these losers to claim power over our gestures and our speech? If they want to make hand symbols and play act militia, we have an FBI to handle that if they're actually planning violence. The rest of us should live our damn lives. Never give them a thought or worse, the power to indicate how we interact with each other. But the media just can't let us be. They need the clicks or the controversy to make money, to gin all of this up and make us hate each other over a freaking innocuous hand gesture on Jeopardy. They are ripping us apart for profit, and they are turning innocent people like Kelly Donahue into villains without regard for the truth and without regard for this great country that we live in. All any of us can do is just simply exit. We cannot participate in this culture, and we have to turn them off. You cannot read it. You have to refuse to engage. If you're forced to, put yourself out there in defense of their victims, and let people know that the rest of us are not going to let these freaks run our lives. I thought this was very important, Crystal, because this guy is just a normal dude doing he just put up now he has to denounce white supremacy on face, and no matter what happens, a certain segment of the population or his friends or his former employers or other are going to be like, yeah, he was embroiled in this weird race thing. You know, it never goes away. It's like it's a stench, and he didn't do anything wrong. And the media part is really what bothers me about this, because everybody knows it's BS. But they write the story, people write a letter based on a tweet, and then they write a story about it, and then he denies it, and once you deny it, you're screwed. It's like, how are normal people supposed to exist in this country? And just the broader point that I really want to make is you cannot let these people dictate how we speak to each other. Just like you can't let January 6th dictate how everybody else is going to lose your freedoms, or Black Lives Matter protests, by the way, criminalizing each other and all of this. The media dynamic on this is really what I want to focus on, because everybody who wrote those headlines, they knew this was BS, but they did it anyway.
Yeah.
Because that's how you get clicks. That's how you have profit.
Incredibly self-serving and disgusting. Because most people are just going to see the headline and assume this dude's a bigot, a racist, and then for the rest of his life, whenever anyone types his name into Google, all this crap is going to come up. Imagine thinking that this guy is like a massive problem in America that needs to be dealt. This random dude who has zero power, who accidentally makes a symbol that is reminiscent of another bad symbol used by bad people, and you turn this into this whole pile-on. The reason why I get so upset about this type of politics is because we have some real freaking problems in this country. Yeah. We got people who are going to be struggling with long COVID symptoms for the rest of their life and denied healthcare access and facing medical bankruptcy. You got people who are in danger when the eviction forbearance ends of getting kicked out of their apartments. You got people who are never going to recover from this lost year. You got kids who are never going to recover from this lost year of schooling. And this is what you want to spend your time on? And that's not an accident, because this type of politics doesn't threaten anyone but people who are already powerless. It is a complete distraction from actually looking at the structures and systems that have led so many people to be in such pain and misery. And that's why when this type of politics is embraced by the left, I find it so disturbing, because throughout history, it used to be the right wing that would focus on individual personal responsibility, and it's your individual bad. If you're in a bad place, it's because of your personal decision. It's all your fault. And now it's like the left has adopted this super individualistic notion of justice, and rather than looking at the structures and the systems, it's like, let's find the individual people who are the problem. Again, that type of politics, extraordinarily safe and comfy for the people who are in power.
Of course it is. What did we talk about earlier in our show, which was about cable news? And this is what they know best. You can produce a segment on this, doesn't require any thought. Doing something on eviction forbearance, well, first you got to learn what forbearance is.
Right.
Then you got to learn, there's an eviction moratorium that's actually affecting people? Well, I had no idea. This is how they live their life. These cheap stories and things are easy for them. It can generate profit, it can generate hate, but it's not actually a way in order to inform anybody about what's happening. And then victims are left, and I'm not saying he's like the greatest victim here. I think he won some money, so it's not about that. And the Google thing, he'll still eat and live. I'm not saying his life has been totally wrecked and destroyed, but it doesn't mean that it's okay.
Yeah.
And how many other people are out there who are defenseless? And that's really what it is. If you claim to speak upon the behalf of the defenseless, going after the other people who are defenseless themselves is just as disgusting. So the whole dynamic around this, it shows you what's wrong with media. It shows you what's wrong with contemporary activism. And the right tries to just crap all the time. You know, like going after somebody said a bad word or whatever.
Right.
You know, it's the same thing. It's like they try and play the left's game, but even shittier. And they're even worse at it, especially because they have no power. So it's just a hellscape, and I urge you all to just turn it all off.
Opt out.
All right.
Coming up, Colin O'Hara and Emily Trzcinski are going to be here for Team Rising when Rising returns.